Hello, I'm Luna Celestine. In today's video, we'll explore a truly significant moment, the full moon combined with a solar eclipse. This is not merely an astronomical event, but a powerful, energetic shift from the universe, opening a rare gateway for deep inner transformation. With the combined influence of the full moon and the eclipse, you have the opportunity to release what has become outdated, let go of limiting beliefs, and reshape the path ahead of you. This is an ideal time to set new intentions, cleanse emotional heaviness, and welcome a more mature, clarified version of yourself. Especially if you are a Leo, this post-full moon period offers you a chance to reconnect with your core values, ignite your inner light, and begin leading your life from a place of true self-authority. I want you to pause for a moment and really listen. A full moon paired with an eclipse does not come around often, and because of that, it carries a very specific energetic imprint, one that can bring profound shifts if you're ready to step into it. As your astrological guide on this journey, especially if you're a Leo, a sign naturally drawn towards self-preservation and living with radiant purpose, I want to emphasize that the next 48 hours are not just a powerful window, but a sacred space where you can reconnect with yourself in a deep and purposeful way and begin to realign your personal path. This is the time to set clear and meaningful intentions, not vague resolutions or passing thoughts, but the kind of intentions that truly reach into the heart of who you are. Ask yourself, are you really loving yourself in a way that feels whole? Is there something within you that still needs healing? Do you feel you're walking in alignment with your purpose, in your career, in your relationships, in how you're showing up for life? If there's even a subtle sense of disconnection, then this is the signal to pause, realign, and define your intentions with more clarity, strength, and honesty. I suggest you engage in practices that support inner transformation, meditation, journaling, or simply lighting a candle in silence. These are all powerful ways to reset your energetic frequency. When you write down what you are ready to release and what you wish to welcome into your life, you're not just communicating with yourself, you are also sending a clear signal to the universe. These seemingly simple acts, when done with true presence, can mark a real turning point in how you live and feel your life. And let me emphasize this: do not rush into new beginnings right now. The convergence of the full moon and the eclipse marks an energetic threshold that is meant for closure, purification, and release. This is your time to complete old cycles, perhaps a relationship that has reached its natural end, a belief that has been holding you back, or an emotional pattern you've unconsciously repeated for far too long. Allow yourself to witness these aspects without avoidance, without judgment, just awareness and release. Because if you don't cleanse the internal space, even the most promising new beginnings will struggle to take root. For you, those of you carrying Leo's vibrant energy, this phase is an invitation to reestablish your relationship with your inner light. But this time, it's not a light that seeks approval or recognition from the outside world. It's a light that carries depth, wisdom, and a steady flame that cannot be dimmed by external noise. In the next part, I'll help you understand how this energy is shaping your personal evolution and how to use this sacred window as a true stepping stone toward lasting transformation. Stay with me. I want you to take a moment and truly reflect on what I'm about to share, because this may not be the easiest part to hear, but it is perhaps the most important if you genuinely want to move through this period of transformation with awareness. When a powerful energy like this appears, a full moon combined with an eclipse, we are not only standing before a new gateway, but also being brought face to face with parts of ourselves we've long avoided. And if you're not conscious of this, instead of feeling a sense of expansion, you may find yourself swept into emotional turbulence. Deep, hidden emotions can surface without order. An old memory may resurface unexpectedly. A sudden wave of anger may rise without explanation, or a hollow emptiness you thought you had overcome may return. This isn't a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that your old layers are cracking and your deeper self is asking to be seen. I say this because I've witnessed it many times, especially with those who carry the Leo energy, responding by rushing to take action. Action becomes a defense mechanism. You may feel an urge to fix everything, to make a big decision, to change your job, leave a relationship, or start a new path immediately, just to regain a sense of control. But what I want you to understand is this. Sometimes the most courageous act is to stay still in silence. And right now, that's exactly what you need. This phase isn't about proving anything. It's not about showing strength to others, and it's certainly not about forcing yourself to push through every emotion just to feel productive. This is a time for you to learn how to simply stay with yourself, not to solve, not to escape, but to be present with what is. Because if you react from inner pressure rather than conscious clarity, you'll only recreate the same cycles that eventually lead you back to the starting point. I know there is a powerful energy within you, especially if you carry Leo's fire, that innate desire to express yourself, to claim your worth, to leave a mark in this world. But what few people tell you is this: even light needs shadow to grow. Even those with the strongest inner fire need periods of retreat, of restructuring from within, before they can radiate outward again. And there's one more thing I hope you'll remember in the days ahead. Resisting change does not stop life from moving. It only leaves you feeling disconnected from your own flow. Holding on to the old, whether it's a thought, a fear, or a memory, is enough to stall the natural momentum of your life. The universe is extending its hand, inviting you to step beyond the familiar. But if you keep clinging to what no longer serves you, you simply cannot cross that threshold. I know this isn't easy. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to be honest with yourself and humble enough to listen to what your heart is truly asking for. In the next part, I'll guide you more deeply into how to rebuild your internal energy system in a sustainable way, so you're not just making it through this time, but actually growing stronger from within it. Stay with me, because true transformation begins the moment you stop resisting it. And now, as I promised, let's move into an essential piece: how you can truly rebuild your inner energy system in a sustainable way. Not just to get through this phase, but to create a solid foundation for your inner life in the long run. The first thing I want you to understand is this: inner energy doesn't come from temporary excitement or a quick emotional high after a meditation or a ritual. It comes from living in alignment with your core values, and to do that, you must begin by listening to yourself with honesty and patience. In the days ahead, give yourself the space to step away from the noise of the outside world, turn off the distractions, reduce your exposure to negativity, and instead, return to stillness. That stillness becomes the fertile ground where you can recalibrate your energetic frequency. Next, I want you to return to the simple yet profound habits, the small things that, when practiced consistently, create a steady internal flow. Begin your mornings with a moment of stillness or a short meditation. It doesn't need to be elaborate, just your presence is enough. Start writing down your raw, unfiltered emotions each day, not to analyze or solve them, but simply to connect with them. Writing is a powerful form of energetic cleansing. It helps you see what's moving beneath the surface of your awareness. I also encourage you to pay attention to the relationship between your body and your energy. Your body holds every emotional experience you've ever had, and if you don't listen to it, true healing cannot take place. Caring for your body is not just about nutrition or exercise. It's about how gently you treat yourself. A light massage, deep breathing, slow, intentional movement. These are ways you can begin to release stuck energy without force or pressure. Another often overlooked aspect, especially for those of you with strong Leo energy, is learning to allow yourself to be soft without guilt. True strength doesn't come from always being powerful. It comes from the courage to admit when you need rest, when you need support, when you need to reconnect with the gentler parts of yourself. You don't have to be radiant all the time. Sometimes, Your light is quiet presence. Sometimes it's self-compassion. And finally, perhaps the most important part of rebuilding your inner energy system. Be grateful for the slow, stagnant, even dark phases. It's in those moments that the old structures begin to fall away, making room for a new foundation to emerge. You cannot be reborn unless you allow the old version of you to dissolve fully. See this period not as a setback, but as deep preparation, not to burst forward into the world instantly, but to root yourself more deeply within. I'll continue walking with you in the next part, where we'll explore how to work with the energy of the post-eclipse phase. When things begin to settle and your next path starts to come into view. But for now, come home to yourself. That's always where lasting transformation begins. As we move out of the peak intensity of the full moon and eclipse, a new phase quietly begins. The post-eclipse phase. This is no longer a time of overwhelming energy, but it's still deeply significant. It's the stillness in which you begin to integrate what has been stirred, what has been revealed, and what has been released. The energy now shifts from breakthrough to embodiment, and if you know how to use it well, this becomes fertile ground for laying the first bricks of a new way of living, not reactive, but intentional. What you need most in this post-eclipse time is not rapid action, but internal grounding. Many people believe that after a spiritual peak, they must immediately overhaul their entire lives. But the truth is, real transformation is rooted in quiet consistency, not dramatic changes. So, the first thing I encourage you to do is nourish a sense of balance in your everyday rhythm. Slow down. Let your mind begin to process all that has occurred in the days prior. Often, it's in the post-eclipse quiet that real answers emerge. Not because you chase them, but because you've created the space for them to arrive. This is also an ideal time to reorganize your life with intentional clarity. Look at each area, your work, your relationships, your health, your inner world, and ask yourself, what still serves me? What needs to shift? But instead of acting on everything right away, start with awareness. Make notes. Map out your energetic landscape. This is the time to lay foundations, not to build towers. I also encourage you to create an external space that reflects your internal transformation. This could mean reorganizing your room, refreshing your workspace, or simply adjusting your daily routine to invite more stillness and self-nourishment. These small acts are not insignificant. They are messages to the universe that say, I am ready to live in alignment with a new frequency. Another important aspect is to pay attention to your relationships. After a period of deep transformation, you may start to notice that certain connections no longer resonate with your current energy. Instead of cutting ties abruptly, observe. Sometimes all it takes is a shift in how you engage, a reset of boundaries, or a recalibration of expectations. But don't pretend to maintain relationships you already know have drifted away from the path you're now walking. And finally, set a new commitment for yourself. It doesn't have to be something grand. Sometimes it's as simple as a quiet promise that you'll live more honestly, more gently, and more consciously each day. That kind of commitment, practiced consistently, becomes the very energy that builds the foundation for your next life chapter. I'll continue to walk with you through each phase of transformation. Remember, the universe doesn't change your life overnight. It simply opens doors for you to step through differently. And it's how you choose to live after pivotal moments like a full moon and eclipse that truly shapes who you become in the journey ahead. I want you to understand that integration is not a secondary phase, nor is it merely a pause after the energy of a full moon and eclipse has passed. In truth, it's the stage where everything you've felt, released, and set into motion begins to find its way into the actual structure of your life. It no longer exists only as emotion. It becomes behavior, habit, choice, and the way you respond to situations, the way you speak to yourself when old patterns resurface. As your guide on this astrological path, especially for you, dear Leo, I know you often seek immediate clarity, quick results, but after the intensity of an eclipse, you must shift your mindset. Not all transformation reveals itself instantly. Some of the change you've initiated will continue to grow beneath the surface, like seeds you've planted that now need time to take root. Your role now isn't to force results, but to create the internal conditions where this new life can naturally begin to grow. I encourage you to stay connected to your intentions, not through grand gestures, but through small, steady reminders. A simple morning reflection. Today I choose to move differently. I choose softness where I used to brace. I choose kindness where I used to criticize. This is how energy becomes embodiment. This is how change becomes real. Now is also the time to practice another form of mindfulness, intentional repetition. Many believe that spiritual progress must always feel new or exciting, but the truth is, it's the repetition of conscious actions that rewires your entire energy system. Writing in your journal even when you don't feel inspired, sitting in stillness even when your mind is noisy, offering gratitude even when the outcomes are still unclear. That's when you're building a foundation for a new version of yourself. Let me also remind you, integration doesn't always feel comfortable. You may experience moments of uncertainty, as if the old has left but the new hasn't fully arrived. That space in between is a sacred transition. Trust that what you can't see is still unfolding. Trust that your inner architecture is still rebuilding, even in silence. That emptiness you feel, it might just be the space needed for something new to enter. And remember, letting go is not a one-time event. It's a living process that must be nurtured through conscious choices every day. You may have already released an old habit, a limiting belief, or a toxic connection, but after an eclipse, you must keep choosing not to invite them back just because they feel familiar. Protect the space you've cleared and give yourself time for what's new to truly take root. I'll continue to walk beside you because I know that it's the journey after the energetic turning point where the real work begins. In the next part, I'll share how to reinforce your inner light, not just to get through, but to truly step into a life that feels deeper, more purposeful, and more aligned with your truest nature. This is the moment where you no longer live to react, but to consciously create. And I believe you are fully capable of doing just that. And now I want you to walk with me one step further, not just to maintain your transformation, but to truly reinforce the inner light that is already yours. This is perhaps the most essential part, because if you don't cultivate a solid foundation from within, the light you've reclaimed will dim again under pressure, under challenge, under the noise of the world around you. If you are someone who longs to live from your core, especially as a Leo, one who carries the fire of personal expression, you must understand that true radiance does not come from always shining brightly. It comes from holding your flame, even when no one sees it. Reinforcing your inner light is not about adding something new from the outside. It's about deepening your relationship with the most honest part of yourself. The first step is to return to a centered rhythm of living. Everyone has a natural pace, but in modern life we often move according to others' expectations. The first key to sustaining inner light is creating a pace that does not rush you, that allows you to feel your life instead of racing through it. Slow down your eating. Walk more mindfully. Listen inwardly before your day even begins. This is not procrastination, it's presence, and it adds depth to everything you do. Then, nourish stillness, not as a response to chaos, but as a daily practice. Many only seek stillness when things feel overwhelming, but your inner light needs anchoring even in calm moments. A quiet mind each day creates clarity. It keeps you from being pulled into noise that doesn't belong to you. Stillness is where you hear your real voice, and it's from that place that better choices are made. Another element, often overlooked but deeply important, is the care you take with your words and how you engage with others. Your inner light isn't just a feeling, it's reflected in your speech, your tone, your presence. Ask yourself, do I speak from defense or from truth? Do I say things I don't mean just to keep the peace? Do I allow others' negativity to shape how I show up? Every time you do, you dim your light just to fit a space that no longer suits you. Reinforcing your light means being brave enough to say what's true and wise enough to know when silence is more powerful. And don't forget your connection to the sacred in whatever way that is meaningful to you. It doesn't need to be religion or belief systems. It might be as simple as watching the sky, touching the earth, breathing deeply with intention. Your light grows stronger when you remember that you're part of something greater. When you feel that connection, you no longer need to be strong alone. You just need to move in rhythm with it, naturally. Finally, I invite you to cultivate a deeper form of self-respect, not the kind based on status or achievement, but the kind that says, I am living in alignment with my truth, even if no one sees it. When you live from that place, not seeking validation, not comparing, you hold your light steady no matter what happens around you. Before we close today's journey, I want you to take a moment to reflect on everything you've moved through. This powerful shift brought by the full moon and eclipse, this deep process of integration, and the inner light you're now learning to anchor with wisdom and grace. What you're experiencing is not just a temporary phase, it's a transition in consciousness, a sacred invitation to live more truthfully, more clearly, and more faithfully to the essence of who you are. I have always believed that each time we hear the voice within, we return closer to the path of our soul. And if something inside you has stirred from this video, even a small shift in how you view yourself, then that is already a transformation in motion. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for showing up fully. This journey continues, and I will continue to be here with you through every movement of the cosmic cycle, through every quiet unfolding of the soul. Never forget, lasting change does not come from a single moment of inspiration, but from how you choose to live each day with presence and sincerity. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll keep expanding the depth, nurturing your inner light, and walking more steadily toward the life that is waiting for you to fully step into it.